Good morning, Kaffeeklatsch. How's everyone doing? My family, hope you're all good. Let's see. Just so I can see the comments because I was on a different part of the program. Let me check. Mr. Cave. I feel a little slow today because, but what else would be different? Let's see. Clicked it twice. So that means it disappeared. Okay. If I can geriatric this morning. Okay, here we go. Good morning, Connie. Hello, Enid. Good morning. Christmas, good morning. I'm only going to do one hand today. Let's see who else is here. Everyone from the hot Midwest. Yikes, Chris. No, it's cool here today. Happy July 4th to all of us in the U.S. Yeah, surface of the sun with a dose of like supernova. Good extra early morning, Jeanette. Who else is here? Let's see. Audrey, good morning. Oh, 16 is nice. Paige, good morning. The chill climbs of Melbourne. Okay, sure. What else is here? Yeah, I wouldn't go outside for coffee today. Not if it's that hot. Hello, Enid. Let's see. Everyone else is here. Awesome. People are arriving, so that's good. How are you all doing today? I'm a little tired right now because my day started at I want to say about 5 a.m. my time, and that's when I went and swung the bells. I sound a little like Quasimodo. I swung the bells. So I swung my bells, and what did I do? I did rowing today too. So yeah, that was my morning. Around 5:30, 6. By 6, I was already in the thick of things, as they say. So that's what I was doing this morning, and then I had to run to the supermarket, do some errands and some other stuff. And now I'm here with all of you. And we're doing our MoB Kaffeeklatsch. Welcome to episode 147. Amazing. Amazing. Wow. Yeah, so I have, in order to combat, it's not really that hot here today, but I have the AC on because I have all these lights. I mean, if you were to see the setup of lights that I have here, it's like I'm at a movie studio. So I have a track lighting, I have the actual donut lighting, and I have a lamp next to me, and I have another lamp over here. It's like light galore. So I have the AC on, and then I have my Wuzu fan, which is awesome. It keeps me really, really cool. So right now I'm feeling very comfortable, very comfortable. Even a little chilly, which is nice. Ross, Jeanette, wow. Jeanette, are you getting any responses for the red shirts? Anyone not? Has anyone taken up the challenge yet? I'm curious. Oh, let's see. So if you hear me groaning like I'm ancient or things are falling apart, you'll know it's because I was training this morning. Yeah. Well, listen. I think I saw you gave them until Monday. So by Monday, no one wants to take up the the mantle of red shirt. We'll postpone it until the next M&S story, and I think we'll give it more lead time, so that way people have more chance to get in. Hello, Heather. Good morning. Welcome. Um, not everyone wants to be a red shirt. Although I think it's a really cool opportunity, but everyone's different. I don't think we gave it much time. Maybe that's because it's really close to actually the book is started. So we'll do next time if no one volunteers by Monday, I believe, then we'll move it to the next book, which is oh boy, the next book. Yeah, the next book also has great potential for red shirts. Red shirts. We'll move it to the next book, and then we'll give it a lot more lead time, I guess. Like we'll hype it up a little bit more. Yeah, there's a lot of them, Paige. There's a lot of them. It's tough. I think we just need to give them more time to. Here's what we could do. And 3 Easter eggs is not a lot. really, Jeanette, considering how many there are. But what we could do is that we can extend it another week instead of till Monday. Give them more time to actually search for the Easter eggs, and then because by then I'm still in the middle of it. It's still in the thick of things. I mean, the book is. I'm only on chapter. I want to say like chapter 5, chapter 6. So, and maybe make it less Easter eggs. Maybe make it like 2 or 1. I don't know. It's all about having fun. So, 3 might be daunting. I don't know. 3 might be daunting. You're talking about finding 3 Easter eggs in. Let me see. I'm looking at the list. In 27 books. Welcome, Anne. Hello. So it might be hard. So what you might want to do is first come with the right answer is the one who qualifies. Maybe just have a 1 or 2 Easter eggs instead of 3. It's up to you. I'm cool either way with that because the whole thing is to have fun. Maybe making it 1 Easter egg will get more engagement, and then you just kind of what you have to do is sift through the Easter eggs to see which is the most obscure one that was found and use that one instead of just having it like make it just 1 Easter egg, but then you choose the most obscure one, the one that was the hardest to find, and then it's easier. Yeah, you can move it like give them a week, give them an extra week, and then 1 Easter egg, but it has to be. But when you look through the Easter eggs, you have to go for the one that is the hardest, the one that was the most obscure to find, or the one that was the most interesting to find. And that way, it makes it, it makes it more of a challenge. 3 might be a lot. No, it is, Jeanette. You being the hour is like 3 is easy for you because you kind of know where almost all these Easter eggs are. But most people are reading the stories and just moving along. It's just, they pick up the Easter egg, they see it, and they kind of forget it. And to remember where the Easter egg is in the stories, it's a little hard for people. Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't say Star Wars and then the Easter egg. It's in his conversation. So I say tonight, make it 1 Easter egg, and move the date, give him an extra week, and then you'll be able to sift through a lot of Easter eggs and just find the most obscure and nominate that person to win as the Red Shirt Commander. That is your mission. All right. So how's everyone doing? Happy 4th, as I said earlier. I mean, it's hot in the U.S. I don't know how it is everywhere else. But right now, it's really hot here. It hasn't been as hot as like a few weeks ago. Let me see what the weather's like. A few weeks ago, we were sitting in the center of the sun. So, but now it's not bad. It's only, according to my weather, it's 78 degrees, which is actually really nice. It's actually comfortable. Let me get started with the shout outs. We got enough people here. So shout outs to everyone on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, please don't forget to like and share and subscribe and spread the word, even for the CWW and for this, for our Kaffeeklatsch and Bitten Peaches. Just like and because it helps the channel grow. We're actually at like 430, which is surprising. I think 431, which is awesome. Little by little, we'll get there. Our goal right now is 1,000, so we'll get there slowly but surely. So we're on at Bitten Peaches Publishing, and that's kind of the umbrella for Bitten Peaches, for Kaffeeklatches, for the CWWs. So yeah, really do your best to like, subscribe, share, comment, and let people know. I would really appreciate it. It'd be awesome, and it would help us grow. All right, so Chris so you guys gotta be really patient with Chris today because he's operating. He's like the samurai with 1 arm. So he's the technomancer with 1 arm because he recently had a procedure, so 1 arm today. So he's putting up the links. Thank you, Chris. Working that technomancy. This is our Zazzle link. So let me just see if I can actually get the link. If there it is. So this is our Zazzle affiliate link. And just go to our Zazzle store if you need swag. This is the place to go. That's our M&S swag store. The lead designer and the designer have done a lot of great work there. This is Zazzle swag. And just use that link. Use the reference, the RF equals whatever, all the string of numbers. That link will be up later on. It's usually up in the mouth if you miss it here. And just go get yourself some swag. We haven't added much recently because it's the summer and things are happening, and so. But there's go there, get your swag, and show it off. I think we should start doing like swag pics and the swag that you have, show it off. That'd be awesome. All right, that's our first link. And our next link, we are on Instagram. I've been posting on my personal Instagram. I haven't been posting too much on the Bin Peaches Instagram, but I will be doing that soon, only because I've been adding stuff in a systematic way to start releasing it in like to align it with the releases of the books. So the last thing released was Mazes and Monster cover, which is nice. Kind of fooling around with a program, so I'm doing that. But yeah, we're on Instagram at Bitten Peaches. This is the link. Go find us there and follow us there because we do a lot of stuff. Yeah, swag or the week. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I think it would be great. Let's see. Jeanette's saying another example of an Easter egg would be Bullets and Blades, Chapter 11, when Mario beat Yosa. You know, you know what it is, Jeanette? I don't remember a lot of these Easter eggs anymore. So yeah. Thank you, Anthony. That's always a good sentiment. May the fourth not blow up your fingers always. Yeah. Please, if you're gonna be using fireworks, be careful. Okay. Our next link here is Binge Books or Bibo, as we like to call it. This is like Bibo, Bibo. And same thing, just follow us there. Leave reviews and this is just in general. Please leave reviews for everything if you have enough to review. I know life happens. It's normal. Please leave a review for the books, for the stories, for everything. And on Bibo, you can just leave a review as social proof, and it just helps our presence there grow. Bibo's a great site. And we don't have any new patrons today, but we have an amazing group of patrons in general. So this is if you haven't joined our Patreon page, I'm giving you the heads up now. Go join because there's some stuff coming to Patreon soon that you're gonna be like, whoa! And so I'm just giving you the heads up. Join our Patreon. You can join it for free. That's the link. Just go there to patreon.com at Bin Peaches Publishing, one word, and join. You get you get a bunch of stories there, and I think it's all tier dependent too. So there's a lot of stuff in our Patreon. Go there, all right? So I'm giving you the heads up now, so that when it happens, you don't go, oh, I should have joined the Patreon. Join it now, so that you'll know when it starts happening. I'm just letting you know. It's something that's gonna be pretty awesome. Did I say my favorite is hoodie? Is my peach? Yeah, I have a lot of peaches stuff that's in my closet or it's in my drawers. Awesome. The website. Let me put the website up because Dolly's really been working on the website. So this is like amazing. So this website started pretty much she kind of built it from scratch. Dolly's like amazing. She knows HTML, she knows Java, she knows a lot of amazing things. And she got together with an actual website designer who kind of put the framework, and then Dolly just started expanding and growing it and putting things where they were. And she kind of allocated this here and there. I know some website design, but not like this. And my website design has to be modular and simple. She goes into the coding and all this stuff. So this is the website. Go pay us a visit at the website. Just say hi. Just drop in. If there's something that you haven't picked up, all our audiobooks are there. And everything can be found on one awesome, amazing website. So I can't even describe the words to show how awesome this website is. So go there and just browse and to check it out, because it's that cool. It really is. I go to the website sometimes just to look at first the effects on the first page and that little snow-like thing, and then you get to see all the covers of all the books. And DDD has made some incredible covers because it's DDD. And then the way Dolly has situated the website and has organized it, it's incredible. So take your time, go visit the website, and go get lost in the website and go see things that you may or may not have. And you say, hey, I gotta pick up that, and I gotta pick that up, I gotta pick that up. So yeah. Okay, we have, and thank you, Chris, because this is awesome. We have, so one of my mantras, right? We support our indie authors. So Crumley or MM Crumley, she has a pre-release, a pre-order for July 27th It's Janie Falk. Of course, she's cranking out the books, right? Janie Falk, State Killer, Book 4. So go get it. It's on. This is the link is loneghostpublishing.com, and please support our indie authors. Probably you know her from the Immortal Black Holiday series. So go get her books. And we also have Stephanie Fox. I believe it's Stolen Trinkets from Chaos Mages. There's the link. Go there, get the book, support her indie authors. Stephanie Fox is a great person, writes some great stories. So go there and support our authors because they need our support, right? So let's do that. That's what we do. That's what we do as a MoB family. This is what we do. So please go for it. Let's see. So that's those are the shout outs. What are you guys up to? I've got stuff to discuss, but what do you guys? Oh, you know what? Let's start with pain eaters. I'm gonna get rid of this link. It'll be up in the MoB. Let's hide this link. So far, everything's behaving really well. A little slow, but not too slow. And I'm not gonna say anything else because this machine, this program, when I start talking about it, it starts getting cranky and then falls apart and explodes. So, what did you guys think of Pain Eaters? I mean, we're at this point, they've been released out for a little while. So, what are your thoughts on Pain Eaters? I didn't realize there was such a big gap between. Oh, so I won't spoil it. I didn't realize there was such a big gap between the last one, which is the Mage Killer. Well, I try to never. If you haven't finished Pain Eater, please let me know so we don't spoil it for you, like Chris just did, so we won't spoil it for you. But what did you guys think of the story overall? If you've read it, if you haven't read it, please don't. Oh, spoiler free, please. Oh, let's see. Yeah, it was a little bit of a gap, I realized, between the Maze Killer and Pain Eater. And one of the reasons why I did Pain Eater, it's like I wanted to kind of just make it more recent. Yeah, that's why, because there was such a big gap between it. Yeah. Um, but I think there will be more, Mary Beth. Yes, I think there will be more. Jeanette says, I'm currently on the last repeat of the shawl. Like, oh, the patterns and looks. Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, that's hot. 84 is still pretty hot. So I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna try to do this without spoiling, but it's not book related. It's what I just watched because it's Film Friday. So yeah, Gray. I'll get to that in a moment. But I just discussed it. Anytime Gray shows up in a story, see, this is why I don't feel so bad about not releasing Divine Hell yet. Even though it's already outlined and ready for this year. Because Divine Hell is the next Night Warden book. Because Gray has been cameoing everywhere. Gray's like just been popping up in all of the stories. There's a little bit of Gray somewhere. So I haven't felt so bad about not writing the next Night Warden, but he definitely the story is going to get written, and only because of what happened to Coda. If you remember the last book, what happened to Coda, that has to be addressed. And what happened? It's interesting how the Division 13 books and the Night Warden books are interlacing. They're like doing this. So what happened in Pain Eaters is going to have repercussions in the next Night Warden, which will be fun. Yeah, every time he shows up, it'll be awesome. Okay, so yesterday I saw the Old Guard 2, and Charlize was really good. I have mixed feelings about it, only because I'm not going to spoil the ending for you or anything. But if you haven't seen Old Guard 1, you should watch it because it's really good. This is on Netflix. Old Guard 2 was good. It was probably just as good as Old Guard 1. But the ending is a cliffhanger ending. So just be aware. You may want to wait for Old Guard 3 because it's definitely set up for an Old Guard 3. It was really nice to see Uma in a movie, but Uma is not the Uma from Kill Bill. You can tell she's older. And it's great that she's not trying to hide it. I think she's aging really well. Like, who does she remind me of? She reminds me a little bit of Helen Mirren in terms of like she's embracing the fact that she's an older character. Like she plays older characters now. and she did really well in Old Guard 2. But I like the fact that they did close ups and she showed her age and she wasn't afraid. She wasn't hiding it. She kind of stepped into it, embraced it, and she was a great character. Um, Fighting could have been a little tighter. The fighting in the Old Guard movies is like the first one was a little tighter. The choreograph was a little better, but it's a cliffhanger because I got to it's so the movie's an hour 45 minutes. It's on Netflix. It's a movie, right? And um, I got to an hour and 30 minutes, and I was like, so my writer brain starts kicking into overdrive because I'm like, there's way too much story for another 10 minutes, and I'm taking maybe there's like 5 minutes for credits. So we're really thinking about 5, maybe 10 minutes left. Way too much story going on that's not resolved for this thing to be at 1 hour and 30 minutes. This is not going to end well in terms of like it's not going to resolve here. So I got upset a bit because, but then I remember, well, this is what happens when you write cliffhangers. And this is why I try to avoid cliffhangers for that reason. So I'm just giving you a heads up. If you like Old Guard and the Old Guard 1 and Old Guard 2 is good, I recommend watching it. But if you don't like cliffhangers, I would say wait till Old Guard 3 comes out because I'm sure they're working on it even as we speak. Because Old Guard 1 is still on Netflix. And now Old Guard 2 just dropped yesterday, I believe. So go watch it if you like that. I liked it because it's the story of immortals. So you can imagine I can enjoy this. But some of the acting was but the story overall was okay. I could get behind the story. I could get behind the writing, which is usually my first kind of what I look for first. The acting, Uma was good. Charlize was good. Some of the other actors could have been a little stronger, but overall the story was good. Yeah. Let's see what does Heather say. Oh, Jeanette says I understand avoiding cliffhangers. I try to avoid cliffhangers, which is why. And one I try to avoid writing them. I've got enough heat for writing cliffhangers, and so I try to avoid writing them as much as possible. And if I'm gonna write a hill hugger, as I like to call them, I try to give advance notice because I know how the story's going. And then I don't like watching them because now I gotta wait for Old Guard 2, Old Guard 3 to come out, and Old Guard 2 just came out. So I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Let's see. I'll get to Heather's comment in a moment. Anthony is saying, do you think the recent spate of cliffhangers are a cynical cash grab? I'm gonna say yes and no. Like I know, like the Mission Impossible ones, when there was like, it's not really just the cliffhanger. It's that making that last movie 2 movies thing that started with like Hunger Games and Harry Potter, and now it's Mission Impossible. And there's a whole bunch of movies that the last movie is so long that it's broken up into 2 movies, and then they're gonna give you the first movie, and then they're gonna give you the second movie a year later, and that feels like a cash grab, you know. But cliffhangers in general work if they're not abused. So, like the Avengers was a cliffhanger, but it was a really good cliffhanger. The way they ended it, so you were anxious and waiting for the next for Avengers Infinity War. Like you were like, whoa, that was an excellent way to end it. And you kind of knew it was going to end like this, but then the way it ended, and then the way the end game came out, oh, that was really well done. But you got to do that sparingly. You can't do that all the time. That's the thing. So let's see. Okay, I gotta go back to Heather. After the events in Pain Eaters, the defenses and the dive mix, yes, they should. I'm not going to give away more than that, but they should make sense now. Yes. And that's what I'm saying. Like, Division 13 stories and the Night Warden stories do a lot of this. There's a lot of crossover between those two. Jeanette says, another author friend of mine has all 4 books written for her dystopian murder with a side of MM romance. I'm grabbing the books as they drop to maximize their pay. I read it at once. Yeah. What I do when I see a series and there's an author I want to support, and I'll grab the books and not read it until the series is complete. The authors like me, I'm in trouble, obviously, because, M&S is at 28 and it's not complete. But I'll grab all the books and just read them. And like right now, I'm reading Genevieve Cogman and her story. The librarian stories are really fun to read. I'm reading that. Good morning, Wendy. Yes, Chris, I don't like cliffhangers. So I never consciously. I know authors who do this, and I don't advocate this writing a cliffhanger um, ending intentionally. I have written stories that when I've gotten to three-quarters of the way, I realized, oh, this is gonna end a little abruptly. Like it's gonna end in a cliffhanger. I've got to kind of modify or tweak so it's not an abrupt cliffhanger. There's gonna be some cliffhangery feeling to this, so I try to avoid that. Jeanette, that link is too crazy long right now. You may want to shorten it because I can't put all of that. It's just like way too long. That's a repeat of the other one. It's way too long. So maybe just the first half, like Amazon.com, crocodile tears, because the rest of that body of the link is like, ooh, it's just a lot of, yeah. So maybe make it a, what is it, a clean link? Like shorten it and make it a clean link. Maybe only up to, let's see, I'll tell you up to where. I can't do it because it doesn't let me highlight it in StreamYard. But you want to go only up to the BODXFHCJ. Yeah, up to there, right. I'll show that one because that one's easier for people to see and it's easier to copy. And that's a clean link. And even this you can shorten to probably Amazon.com, probably DP, and the ASAIN. So yeah, you got to include the ASIN because that's what directs you to the actual book. But you can probably go Amazon.com and BP if I'm not sure, and then the / ASIN. ASIN. Thank you, Paige. That's a much cleaner link. And this is again, we support it in the author. So here you go. So yes. So writing cliffhanger. Okay, so if you're an author, Tiny Earl is also really good. Yeah, I like using Tiny Earl because it really makes it nice and streamlined. If you're an author, try to avoid cliffhangers if you can, just because your readers will appreciate it. For real. I mean, as an author and as a reader, I try to avoid cliffhangers only because the only way I could suggest writing cliffhangers is that if you have the next book ready to go, like you write a cliffhanger and then you're ready to release the next book right away after. That way, your readers don't have to wait too long. But if you write, I'm gonna hide this and then this could be in our mom. But if you write a cliffhanger and then now your readers have to wait a year or like, okay, a year for me is just like hard to conceptualize in the main series. But readers have to wait months or years for the next book. They're not going to be happy that you wrote a cliffhanger because that sensation of what can happen next. By the time you release the next book, if it's going to be a year or two, that sensation is gone, or that anticipation is gone. And usually, what people have to do when it's too much time between series books, they have to go back and read the first two books. Now, it depends on who the author is, but most of the time, a lot of readers are just like, now I gotta go back and read what was the story about again, and you gotta go back and read the previous book. So keep that in mind if you're going to write stories and then write cliffhangers. It's just something you want to be sensitive to. Okay, and now I'm going to. So we discussed pain eaters, a little bit of pain eaters. Frozen Fire, which I'm in the midst of, has been temporarily paused only because Deadeye arrived and it's taking up all my mental bandwidth. But I've got the first proof of As the Lotus Floats. One of my favorite parts about this book is the cover. They did such an amazing job on this cover. It's like, wow, it's art. It's really art. So the print book should be available, but I'm gonna get a bunch so I can send them to people who want the signed copies. That's gonna take a little while, but they've been ordered. But I'm reading the first copy. It's not like it's a lot to read. Each page is like one haiku, so it's not like it's a long, involved read. But I find myself as I read it, and like I've been reading a few pages. I'll like open up anywhere. But then you end up going like you just start turning pages and reading haiku after haiku after haiku. It's like it grabs you that way. I didn't expect that part, but the cover, it's like a watercolor. It's amazing. Okay, I always get great covers because DDD is exceptional. DDD did this cover too, by the way. Huge shout outs and props to DDD for this cover because wow, they knocked it out of the park. But I didn't expect to be kind of caught up. Like the cover catches you, and it kind of gives you this kind of zen feel, and then you get into the story. You just like read one page, and then you go to the next page, and before you know, you read like 10 pages. It's crazy. So yeah, there goes poetry. Who knew? Who knew? I don't know if I'll ever write poetry again, but I can just say I did put out one book of poetry of haiku. So yeah, and looks and I'm really happy with the way it came out. And it took a while to get to that version because they had a few versions, but they really did a fantastic job. So huge shout out to the Range Doctor Design for that cover and for all the covers. I mean, if you look at the covers of M&S, every the only covers the Range Doctor Design has not done for me were the Night Warden covers. But every other cover that I have in the catalog of writing has been done by the Range Doctor Design. They are phenomenal when it comes to creating their covers. So yeah. And if you're an author, you need to use a cover artist. Consider the Range Doctor Design. They're very affordable. Okay. So yeah, Frozen Fire is currently on pause. I haven't. I'm not. It's not like I'm not going to write it. It's on pause only because Deadeye came in and kicked in the door, smashed the windows, and just took over my mental headspace in terms of story. So Frozen Fire is still there. I'm still reading stuff for Frozen Fire, and I'm still getting it. It's percolating. But Deadeye came in and said, "No, right now what we're doing is Deadeye." I'm like, "Oh my god!" So I've juggled the production schedule a bit so that I can get Deadeye out, and then I really got to start just jumping on everything else. But Deadeye's got to get out. Deadeye, like yesterday, I wrote 5,000 words on Deadeye. I didn't even notice it. That's how when I get into it, it's like that. I mean, I'm just into it. I'm into the story. It's like, okay, I just got to do this, and I'm not going to tell you what happened in the first chapter, but the first chapter, just from the first chapter, I was like, no. And Simon was like, yeah. I was like, no, yeah. It's like, oh my god. So just from the first chapter. So if you're in the, I think if you're in the Patreon, if you're a patron, you know what happened in the first chapter. I'm not going to spoil it here, but whoa. And it's things like that are starting to happen all over the place. Like the stories are getting, wow. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, so really it's going to be Deadeye, Nemesis is the next book, and Chaos Rising. So I don't know if you remember that I did this before, that there was like a trilogy within the series. This is like another trilogy. So it's like Deadeye, Nemesis, and Chaos Rising. Those three books are going to be closely linked and connected. Um, they're each standalone, but they're each leading into the next book. So it's going to be Deadeye leading into Nemesis, leading into Chaos Rising. So it's like a mini series inside the major series. But Deadeye is starting off with like a gut punch. Anthony said, "Oh, that's really great. Thank you, Jeanette. I'll put that up too. Even easier link." Anthony asks, "Do you find you enter into a flow state when your books pick their way out of your mind? What do you mean by pick their way out of my mind? Like the books are picking their way into my mind." So well, that's a great pick, Jeanette. By the way, I like that pick. Can you rephrase that question, Anthony? I, I get the first part, the flow state, but do you mean pick their way into my mind, or I'm not getting the last part? So maybe reframe it if you can. I don't know. I don't know. I can't address the question because I don't understand the second part. So maybe clarify that a little bit. All right, so this is the link. It's a much shorter link, which is nice. So there, and then I'm gonna leave it there, and then I'll take it off. It's gonna be on the mob, so just go there and grab it. Please grab it because we do support our indie authors. All right, let's see updates. Don't forget to leave your reviews and everything. As the Lotus floats, it's really weird. So it's sitting. Let me see if I can see where it's sitting. it's sitting, I think, at 9 reviews, which is, I didn't expect one. So that's like, yay. I think it's sitting at 9, only because I know it's a niche category. It's like Japanese and haiku poetry. So I didn't expect one review, much less 9. So I'm really glad that it has 9 reviews. Surprisingly, it's still a #1 new release, which explodes my brain on so many levels. Again, you have to understand that this book was a passion project that was 10 years in the making. And so the fact that people are even reading it is just mind-boggling to me. Yeah, it's #1 and then #4. So yeah, but just leave your reviews if you read it. Doesn't have to be anything great. I think you can just start it, and then it'll just help it get discovered even more. Pain Eaters. We're going over books that not need reviews. I don't think Pain Eaters needs reviews. I think it's been growing in reviews because the Pain Eaters is more up what people know before. And so I know it has like a bunch of reviews, but I don't check these all the time, like every day. So let's see what Pain Eaters is at. What's at 53? That's nice. Okay, listen. Leave reviews if you can. It's also #1 release. So let's have 2 #1. This is why I have such an amazing month. You guys are incredible. So both these books that have just come out are #1 new releases. It's incredible. That doesn't happen often because you have to kind of have to write the books at the same time. But Lotus Floats really was a 10-year project that took a long time. It just kind of formed organically, and I said I might as well get this out. And then Pain Eaters was like, okay, we need to wrap this up and get these stories done, and then at least close off the trilogy. And so, yeah. But like you said, yeah, passion project we're doing. And on that note, I have another passion project. This is not going to be a fiction book. This is a book on fatherhood. I alluded to it in the story post. So I wrote this book a long time ago. I don't know. Oh, here it is. Yeah, I have a cover. All right, so the book is written. Let's see if I can get it out. Okay. So I had it printed out, and I created a logo for it and everything. And it's called "The 12 Attributes of a Fantastic Father: Empowering Fathers to be Extraordinary." So this is my idea of making a cover. This is a long time ago. When I tell you this is a long time ago, this is like another one of those 10 years ago kind of thing. Well, so that book has been sitting on my drive for that long. So let me tell you a little bit of the story of that one. So I wrote that book, and I was going to publish it traditionally because I figured back then that was the best way to do it. I was told that was the best way to do it, especially a book like that. I hadn't gotten into writing urban fantasy yet because I figured, let me write this one first. I wrote that book. I shopped it around to a few places, and I was told several times that if I didn't have a PhD, if I didn't have some kind of credentials, no one was going to publish that book, much less read it. I was like, oh, really? Wow. You need a PhD to get your book read. And the woman who spoke to me said, well, those kind of books, yes, because they're relying on your expertise. And I said, but I'm a father. I've been a father for like many times over. And it's like, I'm sorry, but nope. Unless you have some credentials or you're a professor or, the book, first of all, no publishing house is going to accept it and print it and make it, and no one's going to read it. So I'm like, okay, and I kind of put it to the side. I never really forgot about it, but I said, okay, well, I'm gonna do something else. I'm gonna make sure I can get my stories out there. But that book has always been there, and that book is done. It's edited. It's completed. It's finished. I just never pursued it, but I'm gonna do that now. I'm gonna pursue it. So once DDD gets back from vacation, because they're on vacation to like I want to say the 25th of July, something like that. Oh my nose, I'm itchy. I'm gonna have him do a cover, and I'm gonna print it. I'm gonna put it out there. What did I tell Joe? Hold on, I feel like I want to sleep. Excuse me. Oh my god. So yeah, I'm gonna print it. I'm gonna get DDD to do a cover. Excuse me. I'm gonna publish this book, and then I told Joe I'm gonna start a new religion on fatherhood, and they can be acolytes. I'm gonna have a movement of the fantastic. The book is called The Fantastic Fathers. I'm gonna create the Fantastic Father movement, and then I'm going to go back and call the person who said it was going to get published. And okay. So there. What's good to say? I'm still savoring the poem, stretching it out, letting the word. And yeah, when I read the poems, it's a weird out of body experience because I know I wrote the poem. I know I wrote them, but I read them sometimes and I have certain frames of reference when I wrote them that really kind of drive them home. You know, so it's really impactful when I read them. And that says that's a brilliant idea. It also drops into a discussion I had with my counselor about how did we learn to parent. Yeah. Have I learned more about? I think I have to reread the book to see if there's any other insights that I can add to it. It's not that long. It's only like maybe an 18K book, 19K. So it's small, but I don't know. Some of the things that you learn about parenting are timeless. Like, you know, you kind of learn it, you pick it up, and it's kind of something that serves you throughout your life as a parent. I'll see if there's anything new in there, but not that much. You know. You see, when it says, I'll get it ready when the sight returns to the left eye to the. Oh, really? When if you're having problem issues with your eyes, please take care of your sight because you need that and you need to rest your eye as much as possible. Um, and really, that's a nature thing. So please do not strain your eyes or eye at this point because if one eye is not functioning well, then really rest your eye. Yeah, don't worry. I know what you meant. I know what you. I can read type of E. I can read it. I've been online so long. I mean, I was there when the computer started becoming a big thing. Yeah, I'm old that way. You know, Generation X. And Generation X, you know, we represent Generation X. So I always give my sister a hard time about Generation X. And she's so close. She could have been Generation X. What a shame. All right. Okay. So that's the poetry book. It's out. It's on print. Make sure you get a copy if you haven't gotten one. Um, I don't know. I almost feel like weird pushing that book only because I think people should kind of discover it. It's kind of a cool little secret. And when people like somebody asked me, "Do you do anything but urban fantasy?" I said, "Well, I've written a poetry book." I'm like, really, you? Like, what do you mean me? Yeah, I wrote a poetry book. So people can discover it, and you know you'll find it, and I think it's a nice surprise. Yeah, Deadeye. So baby boomers rule, yes. And so let's discuss Deadeye a little bit. First, let me discuss Divine Hell and Senior Citizen. All right. Okay. Divine Hell, the next Night Warden book, is going to happen right after Deadeye and Frozen Fire. Frozen Fire has to happen because if not, Dolly would kill me because she's a big advocate for the romantasy. So I gotta write Frozen Fire. And I'm kind of having fun with it, even though it's romantasy. That's it. But it's becoming kind of interesting. So yes, and then Divine Hell comes in and it's going to take over everything because I know when I write Gray, as I've told you guys before, it's a whole different mind space. So yeah, and Senior Citizen, which is the next Patreon story, which was supposed to be at the end of June, and here we are, July 4th. Uh, has not been written yet because Deadeye. Really, I'm serious. Deadeye came in and said, "No, we're not writing anything else. We're writing Deadeye," and that's all I've been doing. I'm gonna try and make some space to write season only because it's a Dex and Nana story, and that is just this is so much fun. And so I really want to write a Dex and Nana story only because of the dynamic between them two, and kind of like if you ever saw the movie Grumpy Old Men, this is like just grumpy old seniors with magical powers. And so I think it's going to be such a blast to write it. So I would make time to write that for sure. All right, let's see. Yes, Chris, baby boomers rule for sure. Then I take the turn, of course. Jeanette says, our first teachers were our own parents, and sometimes they did the best they could, but didn't necessarily know what we needed them to know. Yeah, really. I know. And, you know, my mom my mom had to be my mom and my dad because my dad died when I was 7. So my mom she had to raise 3 kids alone in a country she didn't really know the language by herself. So she did an exceptional job because mom's totally rock. And you know, parenting is not an easy thing. It really is easier when it's 2 people together helping out. I know what it's like to grow up with a single parent. It's tough. It's really hard. I'm sure she had moments when she was despairing, where it's hard and the burden. You know, you can't. When you have 2 people, at least you could say, okay, I'm at 50% today. I need a break or I need some time off and I need you to pick up this slack, right? But if it's just you have no one else really to give, unless you have a lot of family around you, you don't have anyone else to kind of offload on and say, I need a break. You never get time off as a single parent. It's hard. So that's why parenting is hard. And I have a personal bias towards a fatherhood book only because the way fatherhood and fathers have been depicted in this country, in this society, over the last, I don't know, 50 years, I want to say, has not been the best. You can ask Dolly. Sometimes I'll watch a show and the father is either an idiot or horrible or not really there. And it just irks me. It just really, really irks me because that's not an honest depiction of fatherhood or fathers. And it's been kind of tearing fathers down for the longest time. And Dolly knows it's like a little rant of mine. Like, no, I don't want to watch a movie or a show where the father is depicted as an idiot. And if you look at movies, they make fathers look dumb or they make fathers look inconsequential or fathers are unnecessary. And fathers are just as important as mothers. You need both. So, yeah. All right, I'm rant over. Sorry. I still don't know how my mom did it, and yeah, me too. I was there. I grew up there. I'm the eldest. I saw my mom doing everything, and I still didn't know how she pulled it off. Like I'm in the middle. I'm living what she went through, and she did this alone without really knowing the language with 3 kids by herself. Yeah, it's incredible. Jeanette says, "Is it wrong that I'm so squeamish about?" No, it's not wrong at all. LK Hurst says, "Oh hi LK, I don't. This is it's the first time I see you here. Will there be more Gatekeeper books?" Yes, just it's gonna be a little while. I'm sorry. The Gatekeeper books are kind of paused, but then there will be more. The Gatekeeper books are awesome. Porter and Bug, especially Bug, are amazing characters. There will be more of them for sure. Anthony, oh, finally you figured out how to ask this question. I'm glad you gave it some thought, Anthony. Are your books fully formed in your head and it's just getting it out, or are you building each story like a building a comic book? Both. I have a general overview of how the story is going, so I know kind of the overarching story. And so my outlines are outlined, but they're not extremely detailed. I know the beats of what needs to happen, right? Antagonist, protagonist, what happens here, certain scenes and where they occur and things like that. But a lot of it is just it's free to kind of expand as I'm writing to grow, and this is why you have so many Easter eggs. But yeah, so it's a mix of both. I already know how the story goes. Like I known about Deadeye since almost I want to say like 10, 15 books back. I already knew what was going to happen in Deadeye. I'm anxious to get there, but I have to read all the books before. Now we're finally here, which is like pretty awesome. So it's a combination of both. Yeah. Jeanette says, I'm a late diagnosed autistic, but we missed the fact that my son was autistic because of behavior similar to things. It happens, and sometimes we can't see situations like that because we're in the middle of it. So it's hard to see it. Yeah. Audrey says, my father and other men in my family were the best. They taught me. Yeah, they taught a lot. Yeah. Listen, I'm a huge advocate for fathers. And I'm not saying I'm not flawed. I am flawed, and I've made mistakes, and I've made big mistakes. But I still think fathers are really, really important in a family. In a family unit, you need fathers. And this has actually been proven statistically. Homes that have fathers, the children end up better adjusted. They have a different potentiality. They grow up better. It's just overall better for kids to have their fathers there. Like Anthony says, the clueless fathers are an overused trope. So overused, and it just irks me. It really irks me. Like I'm to the point where if I see a show or a movie where the father is an idiot, I'm done. I'm out. I'm not watching this. I'm not gonna waste time watching this. The rap representation in the media is sadly how many learn about parents. Yeah, and it makes no sense because fathers. I grew up without a dad, so my dad died when I was 7, and then still I'm like, no, that's not the way it works. That's not the way it is, and that's not the way fathers should be represented. Like Chris, do sharks and gators like their humans toasted? Okay, is Enid an expert on this? Um, Jeanette says, and sometimes the characters go feral no matter what you want. You know, I'm trying. I'm trying not to. This is my feral rubbing my anti-feral eye rubbing. I'm trying not to let Dead Eye go feral, but I'm telling you right now, there's a good chance it will. You know, so yeah. So okay, in my books, I try to be really diverse. The only thing I haven't done in terms of diversity is portray like LGBTQIA much in my books, at least not overtly. Only because I know it's very polarizing, and I try to stay away from those polarizing subjects. But I have characters that can lean that way. I don't have an issue with it. You know, I have family that belongs to LGBTQIA, to the LGBTQIA community. It's not an issue for me. Putting it in a book is a whole different story. And I don't like to put too many polarizing things in stories only because people lose sight of the story and then start focusing on the polarizing factor of the book as opposed to focusing on the story itself. And it becomes a thing. And I try to books for me. I'm part of the my mentality is I'm part of the pulp fiction generation, like the new pulp fiction generation. Books are entertainment. You read books to get away from the insanity that is in the world now, and so books should serve to kind of give you an escape. And I've had readers come up to me and say, "Thank you for writing the stories the way you do." I was in the hospital and I read your book and it took my mind off what I was going through. I was there with a family member and I was able to read your book and it took my mind off. If only for a few hours, I was able to think about something else. And that's really the way books should be to me. You know, I don't write uh, high literature. I write um, pulp fiction, and I'm proud of being a pulp writer. I like writing that way because it's the kind of writing where you can get lost in it, and it's fun. And if you can get lost in M&S World or any other world that I've created for an hour or two, that's awesome. That's I've done my job. I've done what I needed to do. And you know, if you can go on an adventure for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, or you stay up all night and curse my name because I robbed you of sleep because of the story, I've done my job. Yeah, you know, your characters are like your neighborhood. Everyone lives it together. Yeah, your characters. You want to create a world where everyone can get along. You know, that's really. I mean, every author. That's if you're taking on something different than that. I'm gonna write my books for a specific audience, and I want to be an elevated author, and you want to be, you know, high literature, or you want to be literary. That's on you. That's fine. I don't want to be literary. I want to be read. That's basically it. And I want to write a book that anyone can read. They don't. You don't need a degree to read my books. Although sometimes Monty and Strong, you need to know like deep magic or quantum physics or things like that. But they're accessible, and that's really what every book should be, is accessible. It's important, you know. Anthony says, books as escapism. That is how I found the evidence universe, which I'm interrogating. I'm interrogating, but you found it too. Books should be escapism. Books are entertainment. Books are, you know, if I want to make, how can I say this? If I want to make a point, if I want to make if I want to state a position, I'm not going to use the book to do that. I will actually go on a platform and state my position and speak and do that. I won't use the books for that because the books are escapism. Now, there are things that are going to come out in my books that I can't help because it's just the way I am. Like my strong stance on family. If you've read any of my books, you will understand that I have a strong position on family. It's because it's in every book. I've read the books. It's a through line in all the books. Family, how important family is, the family that you create, you know, found family, standing by your family, defending your family. It's all in there. Like if there's one theme in all of my stories, it's the theme of the importance of family. That's it. Whether it's found family, the family you're born into, the family you create, family is really really important. It's in there. It's in all the books. I mean, literally in all the books, it's something about family. Whether then family comes in or it's there. So I'm not taking a stand and a position in terms of preaching it to people, but it's in the books. Let's see. Luckily, we have more writers writing in the LGBTQA space. Yes, representation matters. It really does, but it needs to be done right. That's the key. Adding an LGBTQA character just to have a gay character jars. And I did try to give you one of the books three. I would never add a token character because then it seems like you're just trying to fill a quota, which makes no sense. That would be abhorrent to me to just write a character for writing a character. That's wrong. And it looks like you're exploiting it, which is worse. So there's no sense to just write it for the sake of writing it. Mary Beth says, until my brain melts by Zilla. Everybody's brain melts by Zilla. I just wrote a piece in Deadeye yesterday where Monty is explaining a theorem of temporal something in relation to aging, and I melted my own brain explaining that theorem. I was like, man. Audrey, I was raised by Valkyries. I don't think it's within my DNA to write a whiny female. I have no. So that's the other half of my rant. When I don't like fathers depicted as clueless, and the classic female who trips when she's running more than 10 feet, and she's whiny and she needs to be saved. Nah, I'm sorry. No, we're not gonna do that. So you can see how that kind of limits my choices because it's everywhere, you know? All right, let's see. Anthony says Ziller's a Time Lord. Well, Ziller is, yes, for sure. I agree. And Ziller is a theorist. He really is. Ooh, Easter egg. Yes, babe, an Easter egg somewhere in there. The found family line reads true to those of us whose biological family does. Yes, if your biological family does not meet your needs, you have to create your family. And it doesn't make the family you create any less authentic, important, or loving than the family that you're born into. And sometimes the family you're born into, as they say, is rubbish, unfortunately. And you have to create your own family. And it doesn't invalidate the family that you create. That family can be more important than the family you're born into. Okay, whoa, time. I got. All right, I have questions. A lot of them. Yeah, the too stupid to live trope is bad. I don't like that trope at all. If it's in a comedy, I can see that. But yeah, the mob equals a found family, and yes, you deserve to have a mic drop for that one for sure. I mean, if you look at our space on Facebook and anywhere that the mob has a presence, it's all about found family. Everyone is welcome. You come in, you're part of our family, you know, and we accept you as you are. We don't try to change you. We're not trying to modify you. You come in, you're part of the mob, you're part of our family. Have we had family members that have needed some talking to? Yes, we have. You can ask Chris. We've had some family members that have needed a sit down, as we call it. Have some families needed to leave the family? Yes, because their purpose was their purpose there was not to bring harmony, but to bring discord. And so we had to politely ask them to remove themselves. But you're still welcome into the family if you respect and honor every other member of the family. You know? Oh, let's see. Do we have any vegan mob members? I'm sure we must. I'm not vegan, but I'm sure we must. And yes, LK, all families have some sort of dysfunction. That's fine. I'm the dysfunctional one in this family. All right, let me get to the questions. Oh boy, let's see. Okay, the questions are right here, so we don't have to do much juggling. Chrisman gives me one question. Let's see. Oh well, I'm gonna go in order because Audrey gave the questions first. So I'm gonna go. I have to work up. Audrey's first question. Audrey, who's keeping that question streak going. Audrey. All right, Orlando. What is your favorite memory from your childhood? My favorite memory from my childhood. It's amazing because speaking about that, I remember, and I'm completely aware that this is a distorted memory, but I remember my dad being larger than life, like being huge. Then I was a little kid, and my dad was huge; he was like 6'3". But I remember his hand used to cover my entire head, so big. So those are some of my favorite memories from my childhood, like jumping on my dad and being lifted up by my dad and thinking he was a giant. And I think every kid thinks this. Like every kid, when they see their parents, especially their dads, they think he's a giant only because they're so tiny and their dads are usually big. So Yeah, that was one of my favorite memories from my childhood. And it was just like he was just a presence. He was just so big. So that I remember vividly. You know? Dolly can't answer your question. She's not here right now. I will try. Let's see. What is the best way to support a significant other who writes? As and this is me as Dolly. I will tell you what she does, and that should give you an example of the best way to support a significant other who writes. Make food for them. Create this, and this is important because sometimes when you're writing, you'll forget to eat. At least I do. So, like being aware. Oh, he hasn't eaten. Oh, she hasn't eaten. Let me make him a sandwich. Let me make him some food. Let me warm up some food. Ask if they're hungry, kind of thing. That kind of thing. That's really important. One. Two. Create a space where writing is possible. And what does that mean? It's not just the physical space where I write, but it's also Dolly creates a mental space that I can step into and write the stories I need to write. So how she does that is like she'll wrangle the kids, she'll create space around me, she'll let them know, hey, your dad is writing right now, you know. So she creates a certain space around me, she creates a buffer zone where I can write. That's a really important thing as a support. Um, she edits all my books. Like she's the first editor. She goes through. She's. You guys think the art is shreds? She has some claws, boy. Like she can shred through anything, and she does it thoroughly. By the time you guys get a book, she has already shredded it, and then you guys get it. And then sometimes it's more shredding, and then there's another editor that has another edit that has another editing. So yeah, but she shreds all the books, and she gives me ideas, and she says, "No, this sounds a little clunky," or no, this she tries to give me comma lessons, comma classes. I still don't get it sometimes. Like, huh? What? No, no, okay. I'm not gonna use brain power on that right now. But yeah, let's see. I think the most important way to support a significant other who writes is believing in them. Because when no one knew who I was, and when I didn't have any books out, and I was still writing The Fantastic Fathers, which hasn't even been out, and when I was writing The Spiritual Warriors, the first one, she believed that I could write books. She was there when I was no one knew who I was. She was like, "You could do this. Oh, this is part that works, and this part you can fix it. Can you tighten this one? Oh, I don't understand this part." And so but it was never, "You really gonna try this?" It was more like it was always, "This sounds really great. I mean, I can't wait to see what you're gonna create." And so the most important thing or the best way to support a significant other who writes, believe in them. I think that encapsulates everything. Because if you believe in them, you're gonna feed them, you're gonna create space for them, you're going to support them, you're gonna encourage them. It encapsulates everything. So the most important way to do it is to believe in them. That's me answering for Dolly. Dolly may have a different answer, but that's me answering for her. All right. Next question. How did publishing your first book change your process of writing? I needed to speed it up. That's what I learned. My first book took 5 years. Could you imagine waiting 5 years between Monty and Strong's? There's 28 of them. Could you imagine 5 years between each? Insane. No. So my first book, publishing my first book, showed me one that it was possible, and two, I needed to speed the heck up. What was I doing taking so long? Now, I don't recommend speeding up just for the sake of speeding up. By the time I wrote the first book, I had learned a few things. I didn't say I learned everything. I'm still learning. But I had learned enough to know I needed to write faster, and that meant I needed to study more. When I wasn't writing, I was studying. But when I wasn't studying, I was writing. And I was reading other really good writers that helped me learn how to write certain things in a way so that I could get the books out faster. I try to write fast. Um, I try. I write as fast as I can without sacrificing the quality of the book. That's what I try to do. So publishing my first book taught me that lesson. Said you have to learn to write faster, and that meant not writing longhand. That also meant I had to learn how to type because I was writing longhand at first. The scripture words it took so long. One of the reasons it took so long was because I wrote the whole book out longhand, and then I would give that to Dolly, and she would have to decipher it. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna have to start typing these books out because it makes the process, it streamlines the process. It makes it faster. and that way Dolly can edit a you know a typewritten book instead of a handwritten book, which makes that easier for her too. Let me see before I get to the next question. Um, I heard the trying. Oh, let's see. Hold on. I'm seeing these questions. We try to reach out and make those people special people welcome. Yes, we try to make everyone welcome, and we don't ask about gender identity or any of that stuff. This is why we don't discuss politics. We don't discuss religion. We don't discuss gender identity because it's not relevant to being part of the mob. It just isn't. And that was something we started. That's something that we embraced from the very beginning. So everyone is welcome, unless you make yourself unwelcome. That's really how it is. It's that complicated and that simple. Trying to herd the mob clutch is like trying to, yeah, you cannot herd the mob clutch. The mob clutch is an organic living thing that just goes where it wants to go. It's just the way it is. Refill the caffeine, I mean, yeah, that's what Dolly does for me. She refills it when I say I need coffee, she's like, I'll be right there. She's amazing. You have no idea. You guys would, I'll tell you like this. You guys can thank Dolly for all the monthly installment books you have because she is one of the main reasons that we have that many monthly installment books. Really. Anthony says that care feeding of your author is critical. Deadlines are hard to read from the other hand. Very true. It's hard. It's almost impossible. Chris is laughing. Jennifer says someone to believe in you is valuable beyond anything else for success. Yeah, you need that. You need someone in your corner. It really does help. And I agree with both Chris and Jen. A cheerleading partner is critical for writers. It really is because it is a lonely and solitary uh, profession. And Dolly's amazing. Yes, this is true. Um, Jennifer Jones. Jennifer says 5 years is what Jim Butcher does. I realize with 25 books in the book, I probably won't live long enough. Yeah, I mean, 5 years is a long time. I mean, I get it. If that's your process, it's your process. But 5 years is, imagine 28 books at 5 years apiece. That's too long. I wouldn't live long enough to see 5 years, 28 books. You make haste slowly. Yes. Chris says, my computer business was like that. When you're not fixing a computer, you spend more time learning. Yeah, you have to. That's writers, authors. You don't learn everything immediately. You learn as you go along, and you get. And the good thing about being an author is that you get better with each book. I hope you do. I mean, I would aspire to get better with each book. If you want to be an aspiring writer, aspire to get better with each book. You are in George R. R. Martin, so but you were able to stream on. Yes, George R. R. Martin's got a lot of flack because it's taking so long between Song of Ice and Fire. I don't know if the last book's even going to be written at this point. I don't know. We are who we are, and we start to be uncommon. Being uncommon is one of my mantras in Credo. Be uncommon always. Don't you don't surrender to being normal, mediocre, average. Be uncommon. Always be uncommon. Okay, let me get to the next question. Chris Chrisman asks, and thank you, Audrey, for those questions. They were over. Do you dream in black and white or color? I dream in color. I don't think I've ever dreamed in black and white. I've always dreamed in color. To my recollection, I've always dreamt in color. Let's see. What model sniper? These are all Chris Chrisman questions. What model sniper does rifle does Simon use? He uses a modified Barrett, and it'll come up more in Deadeye because it's going to have to be ruined, and he's going to need one. Oh, I need to click on the comment by accident. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, let's see. If I had to pick only one, what is my 4th of July movie choice? I grew up. I think I watched Yankee Doodle Dandy maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Every year. They play it every year on July 4th. So I would go with Yankee Doodle Dandy only because I like Jimmy. There's a lot of, I studied Jimmy Cagney, which is weird because, it's Jimmy Cagney. Not everyone knows who James Cagney is. He's an amazing actor, but more than that, I studied his life. He was an amazing person. And he wasn't the typical leading man. He was short, cocky, but he was a presence on stage and in film. And I really liked James Cagney. So, and Independence Day, yeah, I liked it. Will Smith is a good actor. So yeah, but I would go with Yankee Doodle Dandy for sure because it's so patriotic. It's like the Christmas. I don't know if you remember the Christmas shows that they used to show every year with the like the Burgermeister, Meisterburger, and all those cartoons that they would have every year around Christmas. It's Yankee Doodle Dandy is like that. You grew up and it was always coming out. It always came out every year, the same time of the year. Connecticut Yankee in New York also came out. The Connecticut Yankee and something. It's the one with Bing Crosby. That one was really good. I saw all the Bing Crosby, Bob Hope travel movies. I grew up with a very very strange childhood. So it's not the typical. Do I have any father son traditions? I have a lot. Um, Right now, they're all over the place because all the boys have moved out. They're all living their own lives. I mean, the youngest boy is 18 right now. He's in college, so you can't have many father-son traditions because they're all out of the home. I'm getting closer to being an empty nester soon. So, yeah. Does that make me sound old? It makes me sound old, right? Yeah. Yeah, King Arthur's Court. A Connecticut King Arthur's Court. That was a really good one. All right, let's see. Anthony says, "Mob business idea, author, a dating site for authors and those who want to date them." Yeah, you work on that business plan. I don't need to be part of that business plan. That business plan will get me killed. Let's go there. Yeah, Paige, it's like 107 years, 5 years, 28 books. So what Jim Butcher's doing, I get it, but his readers, like the last books he released two books, and they were like a few years apart. But he had written both of them already. Can't do every 5 years. It gets people upset. Ooh, any plans for a 4D boutique? No, but there's definitely a plan, Jennifer, for Chronicles of the Ten book, which will heavily reference 4D boutique for sure. Okay, wow, I can't believe I think we got all the questions done. Yeah, let me make sure. Thank you, Chris, for all your questions, and thank you, Audrey, for your questions. You guys are amazing. Um, we went a little over. Don't forget to leave your reviews everywhere. This was a great show. Happy 4th. Please, if you're going to use fireworks or be around people using fireworks, or if you're going to be around little people, young people using fireworks, please be vigilant so that they don't hurt themselves because I did some crazy things with fireworks and I used to use M80s and really, really dangerous fireworks. I'm surprised I have all my fingers from some of the things that I did with fireworks when I was young. So please be vigilant. Have a fantastic weekend. Stay cool wherever you are. If it's really, really hot, stay hydrated. Stay cool. Oh, you're very welcome, Jennifer. I'm glad. Thank you for the kind words. Um, yeah, I don't. Okay, so here's my position on that, Jeanette. Before I end, I'm doing my ending closing thing. And you guys know my position on this. No one writer can write enough to fulfill the desires of every reader. It's impossible, right? But you shouldn't keep your readers waiting so long between books. If you're excited about your stories, you'll want to put them out fast. You know what I mean? I mean, that's my position. Like if you really like your stories and you like your characters, you want to get them out so people can read them. That's just me. That's my enthusiasm. Like I have so many stories. There's so many things I want to get out to you guys. But I gotta do it order. You know how long I've been waiting for Deadeye? I've been waiting for Deadeye like 10 books to get to Deadeye. So that excitement, that enthusiasm should come across to your readers, and it comes across in a real way when you release your books as quickly as you can. Now, for some people, that's 3 months, 4 months. I can release a book. I think the fastest I've released a book has been 2 weeks. But it was an M&S book. But for some people, it's a year. Some people, it's 2 years. Some people, it's 5 years. I don't knock anyone's process. I'm just letting you know, as a reader now, switching from an author to a reader, it irks me. It frustrates me when I have to wait 5 years for a book. I am going to read something else because I'm a reader and I love reading. So you guys have a great, fantastic, awesome weekend. And remember my 3 Bs: be kind, be unstoppable, be uncommon. You guys have a great weekend. Enjoy your 4th. Yes, Sidrat. If I could get Sidrat to work with me and we could do some timeline, thing, we could, tweak some things here. Have a great holiday, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you so much for spending time with me, sharing a cup of Java Ambrosia with me. And I'm going to put the closing theme song. Here we go. Have a great weekend. Let me take my scary face from here. I'm gonna put a really good looking face. I have a really good looking face to put there. I do. Hold on. Give me a moment. How about this face? This face is really cute. The streamer wants to put it up. Whoa, this face. It's supposed to come up any moment now. Give it a chance. In the meantime, we're going to add music. Right, here we go.